Welcome to this special edition of The Dark Room, the war against predators. I'm Paul Salvatore. I'm talking with Justin Payne and Scott from Dark Justice about what it's like being child predator hunters. Though miles away, Justin in Canada, Scott in the UK, and never having met before, the two are brothers in spirit. Vigilantes or not, they are relentless, taking no breaks in fighting the menacing efforts of those online who seek to lure children for sexual purposes. The interview starts with Scott to talk to me about this scary world.
Hi, how you doing, mate?
Good. It's Paul Salvatore. I'm here with Justin Payne.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for taking the interview with us today.
No, that's all right.
So, Justin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going, man?
You all right? I've heard a lot about you.
I've seen all of your videos.
Yeah, same. I've not seen all of them, but I've seen a few of them. Yeah.
It's definitely an honor for me to be able to speak with you right now.
Yeah, likewise, mate. Likewise.
So, Scott, I'll just sort of facilitate the discussion, and I'll start off by asking you, and then Justin can also respond to what you say and so forth. So I'd like to ask first, some people who want to mete out justice to child molesters would pursue, for example, a career in law enforcement. But, of course, you chose another route, so I'm wondering why that was for you.
Well, I guess the reason is worldwide. Government cuts, stuff like that. But the main thing over here was the cuts to the government, and the police just can't do what we can do. We technically, as a citizen, have more power than the police over here.
Right. Now, since you've started Dark Justice, has the attitude of the police changed towards what you're doing? Are they kind of partners in this operation?
No, not really. I mean, publicly, the police will never be with us, but behind closed doors, they're just like us, you know what I mean? They're just people, and they do agree with it, you know, behind the closed doors, they'll shake your hand, but they can never publicly say, yes, okay, we agree with it. It's classed as vigilantism to them.
Right. Now, I'm just going to maybe ask you and Justin to trade notes on the attitude of law enforcement, because here it seems a bit lukewarm, maybe even reluctant would be the better word. Like Justin, in the things that you're doing right now, how have law enforcement been cooperating?
For me, it depends on which division, which region, and things like that. I've gotten some support in some areas, but for the most part, I mean, it's vigilantism and they don't support it. I had one cadet follow me outside after going into the police station and report something, and he went outside to shake my hand. I mean, that for me was, I mean, obviously in front of the police or on camera, they wouldn't do that. But I think that they do support it in some way.
Right. So, I mean, Scott, does that kind of resonate with your own experience, that unofficially that they do support it, but they just can't come out and say it because of the law itself?
Yeah, I mean, definitely they do support it, but over here they have government agents who tell the police what they're allowed to say in the press. You know, they have government agencies who sit in on police interviews to make sure that they say the right thing. So basically, the police, the government's bitch, and they do as they're told. Basically, that's the top and bottom of it. You know, they can't have a free opinion will on it. It just they do as they're told.
Right. Now, needless to say, what you and Justin do is very courageous. On the flip side of that, arguably, the guys that you confront have nothing to lose. Are you ever afraid of any kind of armed retaliation against you during or after the encounter?
Not really. I mean, if they want to do it, they're going to do it. And you know, you could walk out and be ran over by a bus. You know, stabbed. There's many ways you can die. We've had people threaten to attack us with acid. we've been spat on, we've been assaulted when we've met these people. People grab us, try and grab our cameras. People say they'd like to see us set on fire, shot, stabbed. Threaten to molest our family members, rape our family members, but it's not going to make us stop. That's just adding more fuel to the fire for us and makes us want out and catch more of them. Why anyone would want to defend these people, I don't know, but obviously there is people out there who will.
Right. So, are you also like Justin going out there with no kind of, I guess, unofficial security guards or things like that?
Well, we're quite street smart. I mean, like we go with a bulletproof and stab-proof vest on. We have communication devices to be able to stay in contact with each other when we're out doing them. Obviously, gun crime over here is not as big as it is over there, but
Right.
that extra bit of protection in case you need it is better to have it than not if you do get in a situation like that.
Right. Now, I'll open this question to both you and Justin. Maybe ask Justin to answer it first. So, when you're chatting to predators, Justin, how do you avoid entrapment?
I dodge every single sexual question. Because you got to remember, too, I'm pretending to be a child. So a child wouldn't know anything about sex. All right? So if they'll say, will you give me head? Will you do this or that? I'll say, that makes me feel uncomfortable. Can you please not talk like that? I'm just here to chat. I'm just here to make friends, and that's it. So literally they will continue, dick pics and all that sort of stuff. And I'll just dodge every single one of those kind of questions, and they still actually want to meet, even though, like I'm saying, like that's not going to happen.
Right. What about yourself, Scott? How do you avoid, avoiding entrapment insofar as not being the one to initiate the real life meeting?
Well, like over in England, the United Kingdom, the entrapment law, there basically isn't one for the public. But on that side of it, that doesn't mean that we would ever encourage them to do this sort of thing where we're sort of the same, like we dodge sexual conversations, like, well, I don't even know what that is, or I've never done anything like that before. And yet these people still continue with, like he says, the pictures of their genitals. Some will even send like pornographic videos of how certain sex acts are done. Like, for example, they'll go, you could give me like a blowjob, and then you'd be like, well, I don't know what that is, I've never done anything like that, I'm only 12, I'm only 11. And we've had people who will just say, oh, well, this is how it's done, and I'll send a video. And when they send that video, I don't know if it's the same in Canada or places, but that there puts the offence as a Category 1 offence because it's got raised harm in the offence. So because they've sent that pornography or a picture of themselves, it sort of makes the offence of what they're doing a lot stronger. When it goes to, obviously, Crown Court, it'll obviously be different over there, but once it goes to the Crown Court and the Crown Prosecution Service see that, they'll know that they've got a strong case and the evidence is clear. So, yes, at the same time, there is no entrapment law, but we always dodge it because, not many teenagers would know about that stuff anyway. So you start going, oh, yeah, I know how to do that and that and that. It's going to make these people think differently, and they've got a good defence when it goes to court if you do act sexual back.
Right. Certainly, here also, I think that's the same thing in the UK. The crime is committed as soon as there's a show of intent online, even before the actual encounter occurs. Yeah, so we definitely do share that in common. Now, I'm curious to know, like, from both you and Justin, just because you've been in this world of being child predator hunters for a while now, and also seeing the reactions of your supporters and the public at large, some criminals are revered or romanticized. For example, the successful mobster in movies and what have you. But child predators or pedophiles in general seem to be universally despised. Why do you think that is in your own experience?
I guess it's just because of the nature of the crime, and it's the same as a child killer. You know, like you can go to prison, you can be a rapist, you can be a murderer, you can be a terrorist, but you know, you go to prison, you're a paedophile or you're a child killer. You know, you're sort of like the lowest of the low. There's not much you can do that's worse than either raping a child or killing a child. You know, so I believe the world sees them people as utter scum, like a waste of existence, really.
Oh, what about you, Justin?
For me, I consider just the chatting alone, in my own experience, attempted murder. And then if a sexual act is committed, I consider that murder. You've basically ended that child's life.
Right.
I mean, relationships in the future, that's going to stay with them. I mean, because I have so many victims in my family. That's why I'm so passionate about this. It's destroyed so many people in my family's lives. And I'm not going to stand by anymore and let it continue. I mean, there's only one avenue in which that I'm capable of infiltrating, and that's the internet.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the reason why I took this avenue, so to speak.
Right. And Justin, do you want to tell Scott, like, generally, I mean, not everything necessarily, but just, you know, a general overview of how you go online and attempt to find the child predator and eventually meet in real life, like what that kind of trajectory looks like, and maybe Scott can respond and maybe comment on his own strategy.
Like basically, like kind of like beginning to end.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I have 10 photographs that are donated to me from a friend from when their kid was younger. I'll just put 3 up online. I mean, fully clothed. You can tell clear as day. You know, at most 12 years old at most. But I push the age down 9 and 10. I'll say sometimes, and more often than not, they'll say, "Well, that's totally cool with me." I like we said before. Like, I mean, I keep everything light.
Right.
You know, your favorite color, your favorite food. I mean, things a kid would say. When I'm Christopher, it's good for me because I'm able to change my voice, and then I can sound like a 10-year-old. So then I get phone conversations with them as well, lasting an hour or two.
Yeah.
And when it's Jennifer, it's a little bit harder. I mean, I have soundboards and things like that of just the kids saying phrases. And conversation will continue. Sometimes, you know, they'll throw in sexual things, pornographic photographs of themselves and whatnot. But generally, once they find out that it's a kid, it escalates so quickly that they want to meet right away. They want to meet in their car. They want to meet on a trail. I had a paramedic that wanted to meet just down the street from his house for 10 minutes because he wanted to have sex in the bushes. I mean, I believe that a lot of these guys are married in relationships, or they just want to get out and get it done and get home as quick as possible because they know it's wrong. I mean, anybody knows that this is wrong.
Right. And Scott, I mean, is there a parallel in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, we're slightly different on the decoy side of it. Like, our decoys are all aged 18 plus, and the photographs we use have to be of a female aged 18. Like, we can't actually use pictures of a child because there's certain laws that we would be breaking by doing that. So what we do is we have decoys who are known to us, and we'll use their pictures on the website the same as you, like fully clothed, nothing showing any flesh, anything like that, and then we'll just set the profile basic, just stuff like you say a kid would say, favorite color, what they enjoy doing, so on. And then obviously if they want to talk on the phone and stuff, we have decoys who sound of age, you know, they sound young, so we can just ring them and they can come onto the phone, so everything sounds legit. We have used software in the past, and if you get in contact with me after this, there's some software that I could point you in the direction of that might give you a hand with sounded like you need to. But then once them profiles are set up, the people, like you say, will contact them. We never go to them; they always come to us. And we've had people where it's went from being online to real life within the space of like 3 hours. So from first contact to actually meeting up in 3 hours. And a lot of them are married. Like we had one who came to meet an 11-year-old girl, and he just married his wife literally a few months before. And it is crazy what some of these people do, but they do want to do it quick and away from where anyone in their family could see it.
I mean, it sounds like these guys actually think they're not going to get caught. I mean,
I think a lot of them do actually believe they're not going to get caught.
Right. No, did you?
There's one question that I wanted to ask you. That do you use adult sites or like teen sites?
Yeah, we use a mixture of all, really. Like there's some apps that are aimed at teenage girls at this point in time, what we're using, and it's absolutely hectic of what's on there. But we have used dating websites like Plenty of Fish. I think you've used that one as well, I believe, if I remember correctly, for one of the interviews I watched before.
And how long after contact do you normally inform them of your real age?
Straight away, like normally within like the first between 3 to 5 messages.
Yeah, same here.
And we'll always, like, say, for example, if the conversation started on POF, once it's gone from POF to, like, WhatsApp or text messages, whatever it is, once we move it over, we'll remind them again on there, that the age, and then we'll try and push it. We try to get it about 4 or 5 times, depending on how long the conversation is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Scott, I've been noticing, I mean, just from what I've seen, that in the UK in particular, there seems to be quite a few groups of people who are online and hunting child predators. So that's in the UK. I'm very curious to know whether you observe something similar, and if there's anything within the culture or politics there that accounts for that.
I don't really think so. I think, like, when the first person started over here, which was like Stinson Hunter,
Right.
he's obviously the most renowned person over here, but I don't think he's doing it anymore. I think he's taking a break for family reasons, and then I think a lot of people have copied from what he's done, where obviously we've seen him doing it. You know, no one can deny that we've all seen him doing it, and aspects of what he does we do, but I think each group has their own reasons for starting it. Like, there's another group called OPID. They started because their daughter got groomed online. And then you've got Let's Go Hunting, which they started because Stinson did. And, you know, so, like, I think every group's got their own reasons for doing it. I think they all have the same agenda, but they all have a different reason for starting.
Right. And, I mean, in your videos, you seem very, despite the atrocity of what has been committed, you seem to keep your calm and in control of the situation. How have you managed to do that?
Just because I don't believe, like, swearing or violence, or, you know, like, if you go in angry, I mean, I could easily get angry and go and hurt some of these people. It's a lot of people would agree with me that these type of people are bad people towards children, but I'm not a big believer in violence. I don't believe in swearing them out or anything like that. I'm just there to protect children, and that's the ultimate goal, is to take these people away from being able to hurt a child. And if that's what my job entails, and if I can do that in a professional way, then that's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's a great answer. So, Justin, did you want to comment on that?
For me, basically, like, when I started, it was kind of like a rocky slope. I mean, I didn't know about all these other people on the internet that were doing this. The only thing that I had to relate to was Chris Hansen, Dateline NBC, To Catch a Predator. So my emotions took the best of me sometimes. Like with swearing and things like that. I mean, violence was never an option. But there have been a few times, I mean, I'm sure that you guys both have seen me on top of cars and stuff like that. Those are moments where most people would say I've lost control of myself, but I've noticed that it's actually been like my stress reliever. Being in a situation like that where, I feel nothing. I'm so numb that when I'm in a situation like that, I not only am getting a stress reliever, I want to scare the shit out of that person to make sure that they go home and really reevaluate what they were thinking when they came out.
Right. Which, it's a good point, Justin, because this reminds me, Scott, you have the police on call, so to speak, before the confrontation. They know that you're going to do this. You call them like 5 minutes before, I think it was.
Yeah, well, basically what we got advised to do by the police in the United Kingdom was basically once we know that a guy is definitely coming, because we don't want to waste any police time, what we do is ring the police and say, well, look, we've got a guy coming in 5 minutes. Is there any chance we could have the police present? And sometimes they'll be there straight away, or sometimes they'll be there a little bit after. It just depends on obviously the timing of the police, really. But yeah, we always try to get the police involved as quickly as we can when we know these people are turning up, because we've caught people who've had images of children, and the last thing we want is them to go home and abuse a child, or like thinking, well, it's all over, I've got nothing to lose, might as well go out with a blast. In their eyes, they might think one more little, before I go down. So the best off being arrested, that way the police have got all the evidence, they've got their house, they can search it, and they've got the person where he belongs in custody, so they can deal with him how they feel fit.
Right. Now, Justin, do you think you can get to a point where the police will also be there like 5 minutes before? Do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, I think that as this progresses and stuff like that, that their cooperation will be there in the future. In the beginning, I was really reluctant to start calling the police. Like, I mean, it was public shaming, but I'm really rethinking that, especially the last like dozen times that we've gone out. And I definitely want to take like a page out of Scott's book on how he operates and everything. I mean, because the main goal is to get them in custody, to get whatever images or things like that are on their, their laptop, cell phone, things like that. I mean, they could easily go home and, I mean, they could delete everything off their phone.
Right.
But I mean, the police have a way of still going through it. But I mean, they could just go and permanently get rid of those devices to not be caught.
I mean, like, to be fair, it's took us a year to get that, like just over a year to be able to get that bond with it. So I mean, it's totally going to take a lot of time. But I think if you keep knocking on the door, they can't keep ignoring you forever.
Right. So, Scott, will you also, like Justin, go out there if the police are not present, just to document with video the encounter?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, we don't scare easy from confrontation, that's the main aim, is to catch this person. And we have acts in this country, I think it's Police and Criminal Evidence Acts, where we can actually citizens arrest a person if we believe they're going to go and destroy evidence, which we believe most of them would. So if we have to, we can citizens arrest a person.
Now,
so that's always a good thing.
Certainly. Now, will you reveal the identities of these persons before arrest on social media?
No, we've always been. That's what makes us different to like some of the other groups in the UK. We actually won't expose a predator until they've been to court and in front of a judge, because we find that it sometimes gives their defence, like, well, I've already been punished. I've been punished by the society known what I am. I've been chased out my house, or and they can use it as a sob story when they go to court and get a lesser sentence. So we've always been pro the justice system. I mean, we always stand there and go, well, we're not vigilantes. We do this, we do that. But if we just say, well, look, you can't call us a vigilante, but then expose a person online, then we're not doing ourselves any favours if we're going, well, we're just following the laws of the country, which we're law-abiding citizens. We're just doing something that the government and the police don't really agree with.
Mm-hmm. So, Justin, did you want to comment on the idea of maybe exposing people online before
I mean,
conviction?
that's kind of how things have been going lately. I mean,
Right.
just posting the video up. It's like I said before, like I haven't really had any guidance.
Right.
But I mean, this conversation alone is definitely making me rethink a lot of the things that I am doing the way that I am. It's just like, I mean, you were telling me before, Paul, on how these guys do their thing, and I admire that, and that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the future, that's how I want to start doing things. I mean, I want to start making a lot of changes. I mean, it's just like when I informed you that we're going to start having security.
Right.
Just somebody to stand by just in case. I mean, not to hurt anybody, not to beat anybody up, but just to push out of the way in case an altercation does happen. But just like Scott, I mean, the police are going to start being called 5 minutes prior to when there's like full confirmation that this individual has actually showed up.
Okay. Yes. Because for now, I don't. There hasn't quite been one yet, right? Where the police are there.
No,
there hasn't been one yet. Yeah. Now, Scott, in Stinson Hunter's documentary, The Pedophile Hunter, I was seeing this. I was revisiting it the other day with Justin, and there's one scene where there's a lawyer who doesn't condone humiliating child predators online because not only because of the risk that they could commit suicide, but also the harm that may be incurred by their families. And I'm just curious to know, how do you feel about that statement?
Well, like, it's his job to be against it. I mean, that's the whole reason he was picked for the documentary, to keep the documentary on I guess, a neutral stance.
Right.
But at the end of the day, these people are coming to abuse a child, destroy this child's life and destroy that child's family's life and future relationships. Stuff like this never leaves the child. It's always going to be. So we believe that putting the videos out raises awareness for parents, and our videos have proven to do that. Like, we've had people get thousands of messages. I mean, we've literally just hit 40,000 supporters on our Facebook, but a lot of their messages in the talk about like how they've now started checking their child's phone, the kids' Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and how some people, who have been abused are happy to see what we're doing be done. So, like one lawyer saying, yes, okay, it's bad. And maybe it is, in a way, it is bad for the person's family, but if this can help save a little child or help a parent look at a child's phone, then surely that's worth it.
Right. So just how do you feel about that statement that we were watching the other day? Yeah.
I mean, it does suck. For these guys that come out and meet and stuff, but there's a bigger picture here. In this individual's mind, they believed they were going to meet and have sex or other sexual acts with a minor. Now, I would much rather their whole family know and keep their kids away from this person. I mean, it's just like Scott said. I mean, the guy is just doing his job, says what he says, but at the end of the day, I mean, if you go to meet a kid, you deserve to meet me, and that's all there is to it. I have no guilt about it.
So, in the end, the blame is on them, right? So, Scott, I know that you're in talks, or you're developing a documentary on dark justice. Is there anything at all that you can tell us about that?
There's been a lot of press around it. I mean, it made national press here in the UK. I mean, the problem with it is we told some guy that we're in talks of doing one where we might finally unmask and show our identities, but we're only in talks about it. It's a well-known production company in the UK. I can't really say too much for legal reasons, but if it does go ahead, then we will be unmasked on it, but we have had offers. We've had offers from Germany. We've even had an offer from America where they wanted us to go there and do a documentary in America of how how the problem could be solved, but a lot of these companies only want to do it for entertainment purposes, and
Right.
when we're not in it for that way, we're in it for, we want to raise as much awareness as we can when we do it. So we've actually turned down a few offers from companies. I mean, we're not looking to make money neither. Where there was an American company who wanted to do it, who offered quite a bit of money, which is, I mean, we're talking serious money, probably more money than I've ever seen in my life
Wow.
to do it. But you know, we turned that down because they just wanted it for entertainment purposes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's certainly very noble. And well, before I ask you the follow-up question to that, I am curious to know. So you have remained anonymous for the purposes of safety, or not to become a celebrity, or what would you say?
Well, like you know, you could easily go and do this and be like a celebrity, and this is not like it's not being against anyone who isn't like anonymous about it, but we just didn't want to have that light around us, and we believe that the way we've done it in like a really good way of publicity side of it, which not publicity for us ourselves, but publicity for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you read in the newspaper, anonymous group that justice do this, you know, then it gets people's attention and it makes them read the story and it makes them think, wow, that's the same reason why we have the name. Like the name has a couple of meanings, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
you read that name, that justice, it makes people excited to
Oh
read
yes,
it.
certainly it's a
So
compelling.
it gets more awareness across the point. But if you change that headline to Scott and Callum blah blah did this,
Mm-hmm.
then you know it doesn't have that same reach to where it does if you like, oh God, dark justice. You know what have they done? Have they beat this paedophile up? Which obviously we wouldn't ever do that, but
Mm-hmm.
it gets people's attention.
Certainly. Now, you touched on it, and I also noticed on your Facebook page. It's a fantastic point. I'll ask you, and then I'll also ask Justin to comment. Yeah, right. So you have turned down filmmakers who want to make the documentary on you for entertainment purposes. So naturally, I
Mm.
thought, how do you draw, or where do you draw the line between entertainment and justice? And also, how do you feel about people being entertained? Those that do, entertained by what you do.
I don't know, like I guess the main point for us is seeing these people go to court and
Mm-hmm.
get charged and obviously sent to prison or handed a sentence by a judge, where entertainment side of it would be more along the lines of us chasing this pedophile or us setting up like a sting house and you know having these people turn up and only like filming the shock months, like for example NBC To Catch a Predator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like some of the stuff that happened on there, you know, you can't watch it without laughing at some of the stuff. And when you think about it, you're laughing at this person turning up to abuse a child. Like the guy who eats the cookies that are like 4 days old or something, you know,
Right,
like people are
right,
laughing reds off at it.
right.
But, you know, you've got to remember the reason why is there. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay, him eating some cookies might be a bit funny, but
Yes.
we're on the more side of, well, you know, you see him eat a child to basically destroy this child's life. Him eating a few cookies, you know, he should be in prison.
Right, right. So what about you, Jess? I know that a lot of people are following you on social media too now.
Well, that's the one thing I noticed. A lot of the comments, like people are taking this as entertainment, which I mean I believe it's inevitable. I mean, you post any kind of video. I mean, there's going to be those few people that hate you for doing it, that love you for doing it, that see it as entertainment. I mean, there's numerous different categories, but ultimately, when it comes down to it, even those people that are enjoying watching it. It's helping this message go further to, another computer once they share it, to somebody else that will actually look at what their kids are doing. Not long ago, I was working in this person's house, doing tiles. One of the kids were bad, like 8 or 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They handed the kid the tablet, told him to go play on Wi-Fi in the bedroom. Really?
Yeah.
Is that the answer
Right.
nowadays? Is just, here's the key to the whole world, where there's monsters out there that are hiding in nice clothes and, want to talk to you nice and everything. I don't like the fact that people are taken as entertainment, though. That's my opinion. Right. I mean, when I see those kind of comments, that is what makes me sick.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, people are going to take it as entertainment. It is a video. It is exciting. But like when you're behind the creation of that video, you see the whole picture of what's going on. So the public can't really be blamed for that side of it when, because obviously on our side we see all the chat logs, we see what they say, and by the time we get to this meeting, we've already formed an opinion of what we see. I mean, like, we get stupid comments on ours where people will tag one of their friends in and go, "Oh, I see you're on TV again," or "I thought you got away with it," like stuff like that. And you think, like, stuff like that just doesn't need to be said.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Now, as far as I can see right now, Scott, much of your and other child predator vigilante hunters' work centers on smartphone communication. Do you see that technologically or otherwise changing in the future anytime soon?
I think, it's computers are always going to probably be the biggest problem, but when you think about it now, smartphones, iPods, PlayStations, Xboxes, anywhere where a child there'll be a paedophile. It's just obvious. Right. Because that's like how they target the children. So the thing that I've noticed is on the rise is consoles like Xboxes, PlayStations, and mainly game apps and stuff. Like, there's some apps that are created by paedophiles now that are targeted towards teenage girls, teenage boys. Mm-hmm. But I do believe it will change eventually. But I think for now the main source is going to be through the phone. But I do see the problem becoming big on PlayStation and obviously Xbox.
Right. Yes, I think there was an article, I believe, on your page to do with a video game, where child predators are also accessing right now to speak to children. Yeah, which was new to me because I wasn't aware that this could also happen on those sorts of platforms. As far as I knew at that point, it was just seeing Justin doing what he does on smartphone apps and things like that. So that's where I thought it would happen within the chat room context. So what about yourself? Do you feel that there's going to be technology anytime soon, or are you thinking of accessing any kind of like platform, technologically or otherwise, where you can lure child predators?
I mean, for now, I'm just going to continue with the smartphone.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks because it's like every other month I'm getting a new phone because I'm banned, like my IP address, from certain sites like Scout and stuff like that. POF, I already have like 6 phones. I can't even make an account. But I mean, as the future continues, and more people that kind of join me, because I only have 3 main people right now that help out sometimes. Things will change. I definitely would like to enter into the gaming thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not a video game kind of guy, but as the future progresses, it's definitely going to evolve. Wherever, whatever a child is using or has access to, that's where I'm going to be too.
Right. Now, Scott, do you also encounter the same problem as Justin as being banned on apps and whatnot when they discover what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So and so how do you manage that problem? How are you able to get back on those apps?
Well, we don't buy new phones, but we do have IP changing software we can use.
I see. Okay.
That's exactly what I got to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can get some really, really good ones that, if you are buying that many phones, that would be a lot cheaper, where you can get ones that are really fast for probably the price you're paying for one smartphone. You could probably get a decent connection through a tunnel, on your phone and your computer for half the price, and that'd probably last you the full year.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, I'll ask this to both you and Justin again. Your experience as a hunter, how can the internet be improved to protect children online? Yeah, I'll start off with you, Scott. Yeah. Like some basic tips maybe to parents, for example.
I think where the problem lies is not the internet, it's more in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
As, like over here, when I went to school, you know, they took us in a classroom, they went, this is a computer, this is the World Wide Web, you know, enjoy. You know, there was no, oh, but by the way, there's people on there who will ask you for photographs, or there's people on there who, you know, could potentially want to, you know, rape and kill you. There was nothing like that. It was just, you know, this is a computer, this is the World Wide Web, this is Google, you can ask it anything, it'll tell you what you want to know. The problem lies in the classroom. The internet will never change. You know, it'll evolve.
Right.
And, you know, certain sites do get better, like Facebook have technology to detect images of children. But one of the biggest paedophile exchange networks in the world was a group on Facebook. You know what I mean? So
wow.
The technology is not exactly the best, but,
right.
you know, it can work. But I do agree that education is
right.
the only way that we will ever... We'll never solve the problem, but it's the only way that we will ever make the problem smaller.
Right. So it's supposed to help young people and children become more vigilant online. And to
and parents as well.
Right. What about yourself, Justin? What do you think?
I mean, ultimately, I think that education is definitely, I mean, it's not going to solve everything,
right.
But it definitely will help stop it in a lot of cases. There was one suggestion that I had. I mean, a lot of people think I'm crazy for even thinking this, but any site that you have to be an adult to access, you should, have to, just like sometimes on Facebook, you have to prove with the identification who you are.
Right.
Like, I mean, imagine if you went on the internet and you had to prove who you are.
Right.
Everything you've done when you go online, I mean, it's all attached to your name.
Right.
I mean, I know somebody else could take your ID or whatever, but I mean, there's got to be a better way. But it's just like Scott said. I mean, the main thing to me is education. I mean, when parents and stuff like that see something I've done, maybe something he's done, or so on and so forth, I've gotten a lot of messages where parents say, I looked over what my kids are doing online, or I talk to them about the dangers that are online, or, it could be even the mailman that comes around. I mean, that's what I think is key.
Right. Now, speaking of that, Scott, are you over the surprise that these child predators could be from any avenue of life? That they can be doctors, they can be lawyers, they can be, well-respected members of society?
Yeah, I mean, like, you just have to look at a newspaper in England to see some of the more celebrity paedophiles, if you know what I mean. But you do, I think when you go into this, before you start it, you have like a sort of, I think I know what a paedophile looks like sort of thing, but I'm telling you now, after catching 42 of them, my opinion is they like you said, they can come from any background, any walk of life, any race, any religion, any job. They can be unemployed, or they can be solicitors, firemen, potential teachers, even police. You know what I mean? Like, we've got one guy who's going to court now. I can't say too much, but the pictures he was sending us, he's in a police uniform. So he could be a potential police officer, or he could just work for a movie prop place. So
yeah,
it's just one of them things.
Yeah, no, it's certainly well taken, because I know Justin has a really interesting thing he says quite a bit, which is that this has the problem has no face. So, if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, this monster, it has no face. I mean, it could be anybody around us. A prime example is Jared Fogle.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, I was shocked. I mean, even after all the people that we've met and stuff, it's like, are you effing serious? Like, really? Like, this guy started children foundations and stuff. He was around kids constantly. I mean, he had access to kids from broken homes, kids that were homeless, and things like that. I mean, and with all that money and stuff, I mean, he was able to groom thousands of kids.
Right.
I mean, there was one instance where they said that he would travel at a state or whatever it's called to find street hookers and pay them to find the younger the better, basically. I mean, especially the last like 5 guys that I've met. Now I'm not shocked.
Right.
I mean, it definitely is anybody. I mean, if I didn't realize that before, I definitely would have realized it in the last couple meetings.
You know, I have to ask, Scott, yeah, you and Justin, I mean, psychologically, has that affected you insofar as now you go out, you meet someone, you say to yourself, maybe this person seems like a decent person, you know, or, you know, they seem like a nice guy, but there's this residual afterthought, if you will, that, well, maybe he is a pedophile. I mean, because you do this so often and you see that it could be anyone, does that now kind of linger for you? Has that, you know, been a change in your life since you started doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of me always thinks that anyone could be it because, you know, we've caught people who, you know, you would consider good looking if obviously like females would think we're good looking and stuff, and you know, and we've caught people from the ages of 18 to in the 60s. You know, you never can know who this person is being. Like Justin said, and it is a good saying. You know, this monster has no face. You just don't know. And when you do meet new people, you know, I think something in the back of your head always sits there and says, well, you know, this person, you know, you could end up talking to him one day on POF or on a kids chat website. You know, you just don't know. So I mean, I tend not to judge anyone, but you know that I guess stigma of doing this does stay with you.
Right.
I mean, just like Scott said, I mean, I try not to have the stigma with me, but definitely in the first year, you know, I take the subway in Toronto, and I mean, I'm looking at people like, you look like the guy that I just talked to last night. You know, you just sent me like 10 dick pics. But when I'm in my everyday life, I just try to separate it as best as possible. Now I'm a lot better. In the beginning, I was monitoring everything from what I would see in the public. For example, I was at this house today, and across the street there was a school for middle-aged kids. There was a guy that was standing kind of near the fence, but not on the property, but staring into the schoolyard.
Right.
I mean, anybody without doing what we're doing would question that. But I mean, even more so.
Right.
I'm looking at this guy like, what do you... So I filmed them. I mean, I reported it to the school just in case they had an altercation with this individual, but that's not normal. You don't stand in front of a schoolyard and just stare into the distance of where the kids are playing.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, it's made you hyper vigilant, I think. You know, this kind of work. Some people might not even notice, right? But I guess it changes your life is what I think I'm getting at in terms of your whole outlook or worldview.
Well, there's one thing though, like I definitely am extremely vigilant in my personal life.
Right.
Like, you know, like a friend would say, talk about their exes and stuff, and say that, you know, like a stepfather to a young girl, they would mention to me something along the lines, you know, he wants to take my daughter out for dinner, but it's not his kid, and we're broken up.
Right.
I heard that story recently, and then it came out actually later on that individual had pinned that little girl down and tickled her while she was uncomfortable and the mom wasn't there. I mean, she even said to the man, like, I'm not comfortable. And at the time she was 13 turning 14. I mean, to her mom or to anyone that's not looking for it or not looking properly, you know, you would just see inappropriate horseplay. To me, it's not even borderline at that point.
Yes.
That's one step away from committing the act. I mean, the little girl actually expressed even that she even feels uncomfortable to this day. And that psychologically messes her up, because now when other men come into her life, she's going to be distant. She's going to be, not want to interact.
So exactly.
See, like what he was probably doing. Oh, sorry. Well,
No,
saying like what he was probably doing there was sort of like testing the water. Like if she accepted that much, how far would he have actually taken it? You know what I mean? Before
Exactly.
things would have been. Yeah, I mean that's how I think as well. Like people might think, oh, I just just a laugh, but it's them type of things are how these people work. They don't just like dive straight in. Like I mean, a lot of the ones, I don't know if those are the same, but some of those like to play it like really sneaky and slow, and they'll see how far they can push. They'll like come one step forward and take two steps back, and if you accept it, then they'll creep back out of that dark place and see how far they can go until we start going, well, wait a second, I shouldn't be talking about this, or a lot of them work like that.
Right. Now, Scott, my final question to you, and of course, thank you so much for providing this really illuminating discussion, is how long will you continue Dark Justice?
I think it's going to be a lifelong commitment now. I think after seeing some of the stuff that I've seen, I mean, like I've had people send me indecent images of children, which that'll scar me for life. I'll never get rid of that. The thought of that child which I've seen because of a predator. So after doing this for like just over a year now, if you was to stop, like something inside of your mind just says, well, look, if you stop, what happens if that next person who you was going to catch goes on to do it? You're so like you sort of like you put yourself in like a vicious circle where your own mind is telling you that the second you stop is the second that next person who you was going to catch goes out and abuses a real child, and that thought, no one ever wants that thought in their head, but it is there. And so we're always going to be against child abuse, no matter what happens with Dark Justice.
Certainly, and
Me and my colleague Callum will, we will always continue because we've got no other choice.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, because not only are you aiming for arrests and convictions, but you're saving the lives of young people. And doing
like the other day there was a story. We've called people who've travelled from an area called Teesside to Newcastle, and literally I think it was 2 days ago there was a story in the paper of a predator came from Teesside to Newcastle and went to a hotel with a hotel room with I believe it was a 13 or 14-year-old girl, and like when you see them type of stories, it sort of hits you. I don't know. It sort of like makes you think, well, why wasn't it us who he was talking to, and that sort of makes you step your game up and work hard. I mean, there's only two of us in Dark Justice,
right?
But we do well for having a team of two.
Certainly. What about you, Justin?
It's just like Scott said. I mean, I don't ever see myself stopping. I ultimately just see a progression. I just see, this turning into an actual operation, where I don't have to have a day job, where I can just do this all day and all night.
Right.
I mean, if I jumped online in the morning, I could meet 5 or 6 guys in a day. I mean, and it's not even like I'm asking for them to say half the things they say. I mean, it's just they're there. Right. They're always going to be there.
Right.
And I consider myself and even Scott and then many others, like, we're like big brothers to these kids. I mean, in some kind of like metaphor.
Right.
Always watching out for them.
Right. I mean,
definitely.
Scott, that reminds me, I want to know, I know when Justin started off, he was, I mean, as he still is, and as I'm sure you are as well, all consumed with ensuring the safety of young people, of catching these child predators. When you first started off, was it like that for you? And you decided that this has to become now a full-time thing for me. I have to do this day in, day out. My focus, my life is this?
Yeah, I mean, like, when me and my colleagues started this, it's sort of like eats up a lot of your time, and it has become a full-time thing. But I guess we've always been against child abuse, so this was sort of like this. I mean, like anyone can sit on Facebook or Twitter, and you can tweet to your local parliament or your government and be like, well, I want change, but you just didn't have a voice on Twitter. No one cares. Where if you do it the way like how we do it, and you're in the national headlines and you're on the news and the radio and like podcasts like this,
Right.
they can't ignore it. So it's one of the better ways to be an activist, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we don't encourage people to do it. It is something that once you start, you can't stop, and you get accused of it being addictive, but it's not about addiction. It's about a
Right.
moral standing of protecting children, and that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
That's the one thing that I've gotten quite a bit, like with the newspapers and whatnot. Like, it's like top of the headline: man addicted to luring child predators.
Mm-hmm.
I have a normal life. I mean, I like to go to the movies. I like to hang out with friends. I mean, I'm a normal guy.
Right.
But in all my spare time, I will dedicate it to this. I mean, even sometimes like while at work and things like that. I mean, you get a break here and there, just shoot off a text here and there. I mean, but saying an addiction, no. I mean,
I mean, it's for them to understand it. They have to do it. It's nowhere near addiction. It's not as if we're smoking crack or taking meth here. You know what I mean? We're simply hunting a person who wishes to cause harm to a child. But if you look at a lot of headlines around the work that groups like us do, you'll always see it like, oh, well, we once said to a press person, this is a prime example of how they'll twist things. We said, they went, do you go armed? We went, the only thing we go armed with is a camera. So they put the headline, vigilantes go armed to fueled up meetings that are like the football factory. It's like, where do you get this stuff from? I mean, and no offense to them, but the American press, I think, just make half the stuff up when you tell them something like.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, there is a lot of sensationalization around the stories that surround doing what you do, actually, this will certainly be the final one, Scott, because you just did remind me of something. I mean, is it possible to have what most people would consider a normal life when you do this? I mean, are you allowed to have free time, friendships, leisure, whatever you choose to do during that time, or is this almost like I guess the word would, it's almost, I was thinking the other day that it's kind of a passion of some sort, it's it's
I mean, like, for example, about 5-6 hours ago I was playing Monopoly with my friends. You know what I mean? It's
right.
I go out drinking, I go out with my friends, I chill with my friends, but it does take about 16 hours a day of your life up. I mean,
wow.
But we're constantly doing it. Us, like, even when with our friends, which they know what we do, so they're cool with it, But we do have family time. Me and my colleague, we've been, best friends for a kind of few years now. So I mean, a lot of years kind of just means a lot. But we chill out, we do things together. Mainly consists of us going to court, like. But we're chilling out there. We're just two friends. But I mean, we do have lives, yeah.
Yeah, what about
you have to, because if you don't, you'll just eat you up.
Yeah, we were talking just a little bit about this issue just right before we called, so maybe you want to.
Yeah, I mean, the one problem that I've had in the past, not so much anymore, but in the past, was relationships with girls. I'd be chatting for like 5 or 6 hours, go on a date, and it's like I'd get some kind of reminder to what I was just doing. I got my phone full of screenshots and stuff of the most sickest content, and it was hard in the beginning to balance it. I mean, like, I'm gonna just be bold right now, like sex. Like, it was difficult. Like, I couldn't have an emotional connection, like, on the level that I would have had prior to doing this. I mean, it's just like I said, I mean, now I'm able to separate everything. Even if it's just like 10 minutes in between. I mean, you literally have to. You got to shut it down.
Right.
And, I mean, there's times where I've just shut my phone off and I've left it somewhere, like with somebody or at home or whatnot. Because there's times where, I mean, Saturday night we're all out and it's like the individual that I was supposed to meet, 2 days after when I was out with friends or whatever, they want to meet right now at this second. Right. And if not now, then never. It's like, shit. What do you do? I mean, so that's why, like, I mean, in most cases, I mean, I don't drink anymore for that reason. But, yeah, I mean, it was hard in the beginning to have relationships.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the one that hit me the most on that was when a guy sent me an indecent image of a 12-year-old girl. Now, that sort of, I don't know how to explain it. It like sort of like damaged my brain for a long time. It made me very depressed. Where I didn't want to talk to females or I didn't want to talk to anyone because of it. But I guess the same thing sort of happened for us as well. After a while, you just got to learn to shut down. Once you finish talking to that person, and you just got to let that person be there and then switch back to being your normal self again. And it does take a while to come to you, but I mean, we've done that now, like where we can just be talking to a person in 1 second, and then you can be chatting with like a next second, or you can be just chilling out with your friends and stuff. But it does sometimes creep back in your head, and it's sort of like, just leave me alone. Like, you could be watching a film and certain things in films will trigger things in your brain, and it reminds you of a person who you've talked to in the past. I get that problem a lot. Right.
I mean, the parallel I see right away, Scott, when you describe it like that, it's almost like, it's kind of like war. I mean, it's like there's a war of sort of cyber war, or a war on child predators, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, it's like, I don't, I'm not in a position, obviously, I'm not a clinician to say like there's post-traumatic stress or anything like that. But I mean, there are those same triggers, where you're just trying to enjoy your life, but then you're reminded of, the dark realities.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree. There is some sides of it that will get to you eventually. But how I've always said and always seen it as better our brains to be destroyed than the mind and the body of a child. So we're fully grown men. We can deal with this in our own way. Like, we'll all have our own little ways of dealing with it. But if these people get to the child and they do this horrible act to the child, then that child might even go on to kill themselves, or never have a normal life again. Where we can sort of like learn to start shutting this down inside of your brain and locking it away where it doesn't need to be feeling. And yes, okay, it's going to pop back up in my head, but I don't care what happens to me. I'm in this to protect the child. So if my mind gets destroyed in doing that, then so be it. That's fine. I'll deal with that in my own way.
Okay. So, Scott, I'd like to thank you again. And if there's anything that you want to just add before we finish off here, and likewise, Justin.
I just basically, like I said in the beginning, this was an honor to be able to just speak with you for a few minutes. I was telling Paul earlier that I consider you guys like a big brother. Basically, like, I mean, I look at you guys like a role model in this, and it's kind of crazy because I never get like starstruck or whatever you want to call it for anybody, because I mean, people are just people to me. But when Paul told me that this was a possibility of happening, I was like freaking out. I was like, holy shit, like,
are you believe me?
Yeah, like I had an hour to get here, and it's like traffic everywhere. And I'm like, shit. I'm saying to myself, none of you guys have anything important to do like I do.
Oh yeah.
No, but I blame that for it. It's I mean, like, I think anyone who does this, we've all got a connection in the same way, like brothers from another mother, I guess.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you ever want to chat again, just add us on Skype. You know, I'm hard to get a hold of, but if you drop me a message and just shoot me a time, I'm always free. If you want to talk about anything or tactics or sites or out like that, there, like I'm always happy to help. And I do have one question for you though.
Of course.
You are unmasked, yeah?
Yeah, you're unmasked, right?
Yeah.
Justin, yeah.
Going back, I mean, I would have done it different, but
Yeah.
it just happened. I mean, like I filmed the first video and I was just behind the camera. I was never even ever going to upload that video. I had to take a step back at that point. I was freaked out. I mean, I couldn't believe that the person showed up to meet a 13-year-old. So that I just kept going out and meeting. And then I uploaded that first video to social media, and then it was just like, you know, the thing that I got the most were victims saying that basically, like, they felt some comfort in the fact that somebody's actually doing something that's not getting paid, that is doing it in their own free time, and at their own, like, basically exposure out in the public. But I mean, I do worry sometimes to the fact that, I mean, somebody could remember me, right, when I'm in public. I mean, if it happens, it happens. I'll deal with it. I'm not afraid of that. But the thing that I worry about the most is my family. Like me, I said... Sorry?
Sorry, I was just going to say that was the reason why I was asking, just because, like, I just wondered how people have reacted with you, like, because when we do this, like, documentary thing, like, if we go ahead with it, we will be unmasked on it, like that, mainly for political reasons more than anything else. I was just wondering how the public have reacted with you, like, being noticed and stuff, because I remember a while back I seen you were on the news, and I believe you had some lass who went and sat down on some steps or something, if I remember correctly, waiting for the guy. And I'm just wondering how the public have reacted with you, like, have they, you know, do you get people coming up to you in the street and stuff, like, wanting to meet you and stuff? It's just because on that side of it, that's not something that we would want.
I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I mean, not too many people recognize me. I mean, in my hometown, I mean, it's like 3,000 people, like maybe 4,000 people. Yeah. So whenever I go home on vacation, I pretty much know everybody in that town anyway. So that's that I like. I mean, because then it's just I'm talking to friends and family. But in Ontario, I think it's only happened like 6 times. I mean, I've been on the news, all over social media, and nothing. I mean, I camouflage, I guess, very well. I mean, I wear the same sweater every day. I mean, it's one that nobody... Yeah. I mean, people have tried to donate me new sweaters, but I like my sweater.
Yeah, that's, you definitely got to keep the sweater you like.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, that was just the main point of asking. It's just because, like, when we do it, we just wanted to see how other people reacted with, obviously, if people do it, because our main goal for us is when we do it is to get the limelight on the problem, not so much on us, but unmasking on the documentary. And for us, it's sort of like, obviously, we just said to the press that we might be doing it, and it made national press, so it's sort of like, it's going to hit headlines, and it's going to be massive when it does happen. So
I think
hoping that...
I think for the first while, I mean, like, it will, like, it'll blow up, but I think once, you know, I mean, it's out there,
right,
it might get a little bit better.
Yeah, because certainly the message, the message and the good that's involved won't be lost in any of it ultimately. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's our main point with doing the documentary as well. Is like, we're only going to do it when we don't want pain for doing it as well. Like, we've made that very clear. We don't want money to do this. It's what we do. If it helps raise awareness, then we'll do it. But we want to have a lot of say on how we do it. Like, because the press, you know, I'm guessing they're the same over there. They'll take whatever you say and they'll twist it to however they can make money from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
There's one thing that I was wondering too. Do you guys have like day jobs?
At this point in time, no. Because of what we do takes up a lot of time, it's actually became to the point where it's hard to be able to want to keep a job at the same time. Like, you just know for a fact that you're just going to get fired straight away because your time's too busy, and then you've got to think about, well, yeah, okay, I need to live, but at the same time, it's sort of like, you know, can I really risk it?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to find out more about Dark Justice, you can visit them at darkjustice.co.uk or Justin Payne on his Facebook page, Reality's New Pain. That's Payne. Be sure to check out the launch of the Dark Room podcast next Monday, January 18th. I co-host a show with good friend Jordan Randall here in the podcast studio, Toronto. We talk with those from rare and unusual life worlds. Learning along the way, we'd like to share that journey with you. Find us at thedarkroom.ca or our Facebook page, The Dark Room. 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 The Dark Room.